Brought the hoe, brought the hoe shot. Brought the hoe, brought the hoe shot. Brought the hoe, brought the hoe shot. Call Yahweh, Bashem, Yahusha, Bashem, God Kodash. I want to say double honors to Apostle Ellis, great millstone, who teach me well. Peace, salutation, all y'all four corners of the earth. Hey, I'm Yaquab from YSO, Yahusha Sanctified Ones. I'm coming back to you again with another quick video. Now, this is definitely going to be a quick video. I'm just going out of one scripture, and I'm going to shut it down. Let me go ahead. And what it really, in Matthew 24th chapter is busting right now. This prophecies is heavy out of Matthew 24th chapter. I read earlier out of Matthew 24th chapter about the bomb. But to come back to it, I want to hit a touch again on Matthew 24 and 4. All right, I'm gonna read this, then I'm gonna play this video. Now, this is Matthew. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna play this video first, and then I'm gonna read the script, and I'm gonna close it out.
Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Unidentified aircraft conduct heavy bombardments against Iranian and Syrian targets on Syria's side of the border with Iraq. After weeks of relative quiet, an exchange of fire broke out along Israel's border with Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo reveals that the terror group Al-Qaeda had apparently established a new home base in Iran. Heavy bombardments were reported overnight on the outskirts of Syria's Deir ez-Zor city, as well as multiple targets in the area of Al-Mayadin and Al-Bukamal, which are all situated on the country's eastern border region with Iraq. At approximately 1 a.m. last night, unidentified aircraft launched countless missiles toward 18 separate targets, which are operated by the Islam.
And we know who that is. We know it's the Israelis over there dropping them bombs over there. Hey, but the Lord is gearing these motherfuckers up for war, man. The Lord ain't playing. The Lord is making the Israelis bomb these little factions that's working with Iran to get them in, to bait them into a war, to get them stirred up. The Lord is getting the Persians ready to go to war. All right, so with the Israelis in America. So the shit's gonna happen. It's gonna come to the point to where Iran is gonna have to start just going balls out and start fighting. There's not gonna be much choice left. They've been trying to evade it and hide from it, run from it. But it's only so much you can get your ass with till you have to start fighting back.
Islamic Revolutionary Guards, including at Saka training camp on the southwestern outskirts of Deir ez-Zor city.
And another chapter coming in is a Joel, the 3rd chapter. That's another, call them up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat. This is the calling. This is the Lord. He's pulling them up to this fight,
City, where Shiite militants undergo training prior to deployment in Syria, alongside warehouses in a nearby compound. In tandem, warehouses and other installations, which are guarded by the Lebanese Hezbollah and Afghan Liwa Fatimiyun militias, were also struck near the town of Al-Mayadin and in a desert region surrounding the Syrian-Iraqi border city of Al-Bukamal. According to the London-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, which cited local sources, at least 23 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guards, Syrian army, and Iranian proxy militias were killed in last night's bombardment. It further mentioned that significant material damage was caused to military infrastructure, and that for an extensive period of time after the bombardment, loud explosions were heard due to the explosion of ammunition in the targeted positions. It is also interesting to know that according to circulating reports, which TV7 could not immediately corroborate, a senior official of Syria's military intelligence branch, Ahmad al-Afal, was also killed in the attack. Meanwhile, the regime in Damascus pointed to...
All right, and just right quick, I'm gonna just bring this up because even though one of the Syria's high guards, they just said one of his high-level officers was killed. Russia's back Syria, so it's nothing, and as well as Iran. So this war is getting started. So I just to bring this up because I know the scriptures come out, but it's gonna come out a lot, right? Especially now. You know, this is a scripture that's gonna come out a lot. This is Joel 3. For behold, in those days, and this is those days, and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among nations and parted my land. All right. This is it. This is that. This is that. This is what's happening here. All right. The Lord is calling these nations up. This is the phone call. All these bombs dropping. Eventually, they're gonna answer the call and they're gonna come to the fight. All right.
The blaming finger toward Israel. Nevertheless, the IDF spokesperson's unit did not confirm nor deny its involvement in response to TV7's request for comment. Turning to Israel's southern border with the Gaza Strip, where Islamist militants opened fire toward an IDF engineering vehicle, which operated adjacent to the security fence in the southern part of the Hamas-controlled enclave. While damage was caused to the vehicle, thankfully, no injuries were reported. In response to the cross-border fire, an IDF tank targeted a Hamas military post in the southern Gaza Strip. Shortly thereafter, an exchange of fire ensued. Armed militants opened fire toward another IDF vehicle in the vicinity, which consequently sustained minor damage. Subsequently, an IDF tank opened fire toward 2 additional observation posts belonging to the Islamist Hamas organization. While all 3 observation posts were utterly destroyed, there were no immediate reports of any casualties. Hamas officials did not immediately respond to TV7's request for comment. Turning to the Israeli border with Syria, where alternate Premier and Defense Minister Benny Gantz reiterated Jerusalem's resolve to protect the borders of the Jewish state. Toward the end of a working tour of the Golan Heights, during which Jerusalem's top defense official was briefed by senior military personnel at the IDF's 210th Division, at the backdrop of a strategic point on the border with its northern neighbor, Gantz stressed that the Israeli defense establishment will continue to confront anyone who tries to challenge Israel's national security interests.
אנחנו ממשיכים לעמוד על המשמר בכל הגבולות שלנו. פעלנו ונמשיך לפעול כנגד כל מי שינסה לאתגר אותנו מקרוב או מרחוק. אנחנו לא יושבים או מחכים, אנחנו פועלים ביטחונית, מדינית וכלכלית. את האויבים שלנו לא מעניינים לא קורונה ולא בחירות. אני אעשה הכל שלישראל תהיה מנהיגות שעסוקה 24/7 בביטחון ישראל, בבריאות ובקידום התהליכים הנדרשים באזור.
It is interesting to know that after Israel's top defense official left the area, the IDF, during routine activity in the Mount Dov area of operations, apprehended a suspicious shepherd who, it said, intentionally crossed the United Nations recognized blue line from Lebanon into Israeli territory. It is important to explain that shepherds are systematically utilized by militias and terror groups in the region for the purpose of scouting sensitive locations under civilian guise. Therefore, the Lebanese suspect was transferred to relevant security forces for further questioning, and the IDF emphasized that it will not tolerate any attempt to violate Israeli territory. Turning to the Lebanese capital, Beirut, where a statue honoring slain Iranian commander of the RGC's Quds Force, Major General Qasem Soleimani, was erected on a highway named after the first supreme leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, which leads to Beirut's international airport. More in this report by Emily Wither.
A hero to some and an enemy to others. A new statue in the Lebanese capital of the Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani is dividing opinion. It was erected on the anniversary of his killing by the US, and it sits at the entrance to Beirut's mainly Shiite southern suburbs. A drone strike killed Soleimani, head of an elite overseas unit of Iran's Revolutionary Guards, in January last year. Washington had accused him of masterminding attacks by Iranian-aligned militias on US forces in the region. To some Lebanese supporters, Soleimani is a source of great pride.
Martyr Qasem Soleimani means more to us than the statue, whose sacrifices for the region and his impact all over. The defeat of Israelis and Americans in Iraq, it's all because of Haj Qasem Soleimani. So the least we can do is put a statue of Haj Qasem Soleimani. We give our souls for Haj Qasem.
But others took to social media to criticize what they said was a symbol of Iran's dominance under the hashtag #HandsOffLebanon. One user remarked that there wasn't a statue for the victims of the Beirut blast in August. Lebanon has for years been a stage for regional rivalry between Iran and its allies, including Syria on the one hand, and US-allied Sunni-led Gulf Arab states on the other.
Turning to the United States Capitol, where U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo revealed that the terror group Al-Qaeda had apparently established a new home base in Iran. Making the announcement at a news conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., the top American diplomat, who formerly served as CIA director, seemingly signaled the soon-to-be inaugurated Biden administration of dangerous consequences unless his warnings are acknowledged and dealt with.
Al-Qaeda has a new home base. It is the Islamic Republic of Iran. As a result, bin Laden's wicked creation is poised to gain strength and capabilities. We ignore this Iran-Al-Qaeda nexus at
Here they go again with the warmonger. You know, this is beating them drums. They're beating them war drums right here. You know, now they're going back to the Al-Qaeda. They're going back to the old playbook, to the Bush playbook. Weapons of mass destruction. Al-Qaeda was in Iraq. All this garbage. All right. Hey, this is beautiful, but that's the Lord doing what? Joel, the 3rd chapter, calling these nations up, putting a lying tongue in these devils' mouths, like he did Ahab and Jezebel. He put a lying tongue in the prophet of Ahab's mouth and had sent them up to the war. To do what? To kill them. So the Lord is sending them up to the war, America to the war, to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, to do what? To kill them.
at our own peril. We need to acknowledge it. We must confront it. Indeed, we must defeat it.
Secretary Pompeo went on to draw an analogy between Afghanistan of the early 2000s and Iran of today, labeling the latter the key geographic hub for Al-Qaeda.
You now have the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, the Islamic Republic of Iran, as the home base for Al-Qaeda. They are partners in terrorism, partners in hate. This axis goes as a grave threat to the security of nations and to the American homeland itself. I would say Iran is indeed the new Afghanistan as the key geographic hub for Al-Qaeda. But it's actually worse. Unlike in Afghanistan, when Al-Qaeda was hiding in the mountains, Al-Qaeda today is operating underneath the hard shell of the Iranian regime's protection. As a result of this assistance, Al-Qaeda has centralized its leadership inside of Tehran. Ayman al-Zawahiri's deputies are there today. And frankly, they're living a normal Al-Qaeda life.
In parallel to this revelation, Secretary Pompeo made an announcement of a number of sanctions against Al-Qaeda leaders who are based in Iran and Iraq.
Today, we'll announce sanctions on Iran-based Al-Qaeda leaders Sultan Yusuf Hassan al-Arif and Mohammed Abateh. He is also known as Abdul Rahman al-Maghrebi. I'm also announcing designations of 3 leaders of Al-Qaeda Kurdish battalions, an Al-Qaeda-linked group that operates on the border between Iran and Iraq. And in a related action, I'm announcing a reward for up to $7 million under the State Department's Reward for Justice program for information that leads to the location or identification of al-Mughrabi. We want to bring him home to America with justice.
Thank you for watching us.
All right. Hey, look, the war drums is beating. All right. The war drums is beating, and they beating very loud and clear. All right. The war drums are beating very, very loud and clear. All right. So this was I'm gonna go with this quick chapter, and I'm gonna close it out. I mean, you can sum it up. You see the video. Any argument, you can put more to it if you like. But I had two scriptures: Joel 3rd chapter, and this is Matthew 24. Matthew 24:3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? Okay, and this is all signs that are coming of the Lord and the end of the world. All this war, all this drama, all this wars, rumors of wars, all these things is going on, killing Iran because it's something about there was a 5-state solution or something, or America had a 5-state war or something they was having. It was Iraq was one of them, Libya, Iran. Well, I think Iran was supposed to be like the last one, but it was 5 different countries America was supposed to invade, take over: Afghanistan, Pakistan, I think, in Iraq, or Iraq and Iran. But Iran's supposed to be the last one. And that's what they're working on. They're working on going in and invading Iran. They're working to invade Iran and take it over. All right, but it's not gonna happen. This is where the buck gonna stop. All right. So once again, this is Matthew 3, the 3rd chapter. Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And we got many, many false prophets, many false coming in the name of the Lord. Okay. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And we're there. These nations is rising up against these other nations. America's rising up against Iran, Syria, Israel. The Israelis rising up against them as well. So these nations are starting to rise up against one another. Okay. You got North Korea out there sitting in the way, in China fighting India. China getting in fights with India. I think Japan was talking about having a little spat with China. Russia's doing their thing. The Armenians, and they over there fight Azerbaijan. So there's a lot of things happening in this world. In the Sudan, they're having the wars over there. So it's a lot of stuff going on, man. Okay. So for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. All right. So we wait for all these signs and these things to hit, which they are hitting. Hey, the prophecies is hitting. The Lord scriptures are just hitting heavy. Matthew 24th chapter right now is really heavy right now. It's really these things are really coming in. These prophecies are coming in quick, hard, and fast. It's beautiful. It seems like it takes a while, but hey, man, they're here. The war drums is here. They're beating them war drums. They're beating them drums, and they're playing that war music. Hey, sit back, put the popcorn up, get ready for a good show, man. Because 2021 gonna be a blast off, man. I really believe that 2021 is gonna be man. It's gonna be something else. I really do. And call on Yahweh Shema Al-Shai, because we've been waiting on it. This is what we've been waiting on. We've been waiting on them to come on and do their thing. So hey, with that said, hey, call Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahushua Ba'ashem, Rikah Kodash, double honor sponsor Elder Great Millstone, Haroon, teach well, peace, salutation, all your icon 4 corners of the earth, keep peace, teach Yahushua and the gospel. We almost out of here. This thing is coming to an end. The war drums is beating. Kwam Bawa Dabada, Kwam Bawa Dabada, Kwam Yashala, and Wa Baba Ba. Shalom, Maki.